metalheads, it's Blackmetalwerewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And today I want to talk about something a little different. Usually in my videos, I try to stay on the more positive and upbeat side of being a metalhead, maybe sneak in a joke every now and then. I'm not a very funny person, but hey, I can land a few every now and then, why not? But the other day I was thinking about, sometimes becoming a metalhead, at least I've noticed in my life, it comes with some pretty negative prices to pay. Now obviously when I'm talking about paying the price of being a metalhead, I'm not talking about a monetary price, even though all metalheads are very well aware of the monetary price of being a metalhead, between t-shirts, CDs, concert tickets, patches, memorabilia, all those things. We've all paid that price. You all know what I'm talking about. So no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the possible negative outcomes that can happen in your life when you become a metalhead and possibly growing up as one. So for me personally, I noticed that there was a negative price I had to pay when becoming a metalhead when I first started getting into metal. I always kind of forget the exact age I was around. I want to say between 12 and 13, grade 7, grade 8 area, so I think that's the age range if I remember correctly. And I remember when I first started getting into it, I really became infatuated with it. And that's one of the great things about being young and getting into something is, you don't have a job, you don't have to worry about bills, you can just dive headfirst into something you love and it becomes what you're all about. For me personally, it's monster movies and heavy metal. Those are my two big things that I absolutely love. Anyway, when I was first getting into metal, I noticed that people and school officials, friends, started viewing me very differently. I started actually noticing I started losing friends, actually, because I was getting into it. I wanted to buy CDs. I didn't really want to talk about Star Wars, even though I still do love Star Wars, with my friends as much. I want to talk about music. I want to talk about band members and how they play guitar and play the drums and the singing and all that. And next thing you know, I just started noticing that my friend group started to slowly dwindle down from relatively large to a smaller and smaller group of people. And I noticed, like, that is a pretty hefty price to pay. People that I was friends with for years suddenly turning their back on me simply because I was becoming infatuated with metal. Now, to a degree, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. Looking back, I was probably quite annoying with my infatuation with it, and I was thinking maybe was I getting really weird with it? But to be fair, I was already a very weird person. I believe in Bigfoot, for God's sake, so you can't tell me that liking metal is more weird than believing in Bigfoot. So I started noticing that things like that, people just, they didn't want to hang around me because I wanted to talk about Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie. Next thing you know, I was getting into Metallica and I was getting into Slayer, and I was trying to hand people CDs like, oh, you gotta fucking listen to this. And next thing you know, I was getting it pushed right back at me. Don't get me wrong, it did take with a few people I knew. Next thing you know, I was handing someone a CD and they were coming to school the next day and they're like, dude, that was fucking awesome. So for the one or two positive things that came from it, there were, I would have to say, tremendous fallout from the rest of it. And obviously, some of you are thinking, when you hit that kind of 12, 13 years of age, that's when people start hitting puberty, they start maturing and kind of going down different life paths. So in one retrospect, I can see maybe, as friends, we just outgrew each other. People you know for years, you just kind of get past it. Okay, I can understand that. Let's say metal has nothing to do with it, and we just happen to outgrow it. We happen to outgrow each other. That's fine, I understand it. People outgrow each other. Happens all the fucking time. I'm sure there are plenty of people in your guys' life that has happened to, whatever. But there's also came another negative impact from this, and that was just coming from school officials. Now, to be fair, I did go to a Catholic school at the time, and when you go into a Catholic school wanting to talk about metal and Marilyn Manson and all these things, chances are that's going to have some negative backlash on you. I've told this story before on some of my videos, but for those of you who haven't heard it, when I was in the 8th grade, I believe, we had to do a music project. We all had to pick a band, do a brief biography on the band, and then you could play one of their songs and you had to print out the lyrics and all that kind of crap. So obviously there were a bunch of people doing, hillbilly bands like Leonard Skinner and Elvis. Let's face it, Elvis was really nothing more than just a fucking hillbilly with a good voice. Other than that, people were doing the Beatles, Evanescence, all that kind of crap. One of my friends ended up doing Rob Zombie, and I chose to do my project on Marilyn Manson. And here's the funny thing, my buddy who did the one on Rob Zombie actually got a relatively good grade and was able to present his project and everything. I, however, got a big fat goose egg on that project. I was told that I was failing that project unless I redid it to fit a more school-appropriate subject, which I happened to refuse, and I just took the 0 because I did the project to its specifications. I didn't include anything of Marilyn Manson's drug use, self-harm, any of that stuff. Just a very brief history of the band. I met the other band members, and then I just chose a song that I felt was relatively appropriate. No swear words, nothing satanic, anything like that. So I ended up having to take the hit for that and take the 0, and to me that was a relatively negative consequence. In school I was a very good student, I like to get good grades, but I had to take that simply because I refused to redo a project that I did properly. There was another time when around that age, you know, I started saving up money from birthdays and Christmases and shit like that, and there was this one store in town that had some alternative music. You get some t-shirts and different CDs that you wouldn't find at, say, Walmart. And they had a 2-for-1 t-shirt sale, and they had Marilyn Manson t-shirts, so I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm getting that. So I bought a few of their t-shirts, and I remember going to school proud as fucking could be, wearing my first band t-shirts, and I remember I got hauled into the fucking office, and I got told that I had to essentially take my shirt off and put on a gym t-shirt, and I almost got suspended. I can't imagine my parents remember this because it was so long ago, but I remember the fucking principal called my mom and gave her the rundown. I remember going home, I'm like, this asshole fucking serious? Like, this is no big deal. But once again, that was a negative consequence, and after that happened, the next day in school, we went in and all the grade 8 classes got lectures from their teacher about how we're not allowed to wear rock and roll t-shirts to school anymore. And I was the only one doing it, so obviously it was directed 100% at me. Just they couldn't say, you know, it's your fucking fault. They had to generalize it across everybody. And I remember one of the teachers coming into the class and claiming that anyone who liked metal was gender confused. And I'm sitting here like, what is this fucking asshole talking about? So looking back, it was really, really funny for a teacher in a Catholic school to actually come out and say that to a bunch of like 13-year-olds. But I remember how pissed off I was at the time, and the amount of kids that looked directly fucking at me, like, you motherfucker. So, once again, looking back at it, funny as hell. At the time, negative impact, pissed me right off. Pretty negative if you ask me. One more thing I almost forgot to bring up, because this is hysterical. At the time, I remember, like, the chances of a girl being interested in me or wanting to go out on a date with me was like finding a 4-leaf clover. That shit was never gonna fucking happen. But there actually was a girl in one of my classes who actually did show an interest in me and actually wanted to go out on a date with me. So at the time, I was like, fuck yeah, I don't even care if I like the girl or not. I'm taking my chances now. But as we got to talking, she actually wanted me to stop listening to metal and stop wearing the t-shirts and shit like that. Which, once again, I refused, because at the time, even then, I had the sense to know that if someone is trying to change you from the things you like, that type of person isn't the type of person you want in your life. Regardless if there aren't many girls who like you, or boys, or fucking whatever, don't change the shit you like to fit someone else's likes or habits or whatever. Stick to your guns, have a backbone, have some character, have some dignity, like what you like. If people don't like it, they can shove it right up their ass. Now, I'm not going to tell you that all the things I just told you didn't bother me, because obviously they did, and they still stick in my craw just a little bit, or else I wouldn't be thinking about it, and I wouldn't be making a video about it. But even though I'm looking back and seeing those things as negatives, past those points, it's actually quite a good thing, because looking back, I really dodged some bullets. A lot of those friends that I told you about that ended up ditching me simply because I like metal, well, an awful lot of them have some pretty lengthy drug and alcohol addiction problems, and a few of them even have some pretty lengthy criminal records too. So, it's probably a good thing that I was no longer hanging out with those people. And you know what? They have some pretty bad criminal records, and they aren't metalheads. Just want to say that. That girl who no longer wanted to go on a date with me, looking back, that was a big fucking bullet I dodged, so I really can't complain about that not happening. And I do have to say that, you know, past all those people, as you mature and get older and you go through high school, or you go to college, university, or just jump into the workforce, you're going to meet plenty of other people who possibly have the same interests as you, or they don't care that you like metal or whatever. I think it would be very, very strange for grown adults to not want to associate with each other simply because of musical taste. To me, that just seems so immature and something only a 15 or 16-year-old would care about, not something an adult with a job cares about. But though I'm very well aware there are some adults like that, you know, some people still view metalheads as nothing but delinquent Satanists and that kind of nonsense, and they refuse to associate with people like that. So, once again, some people might see that as negative, especially if you've gained quite a relationship with someone like that, and then they discover that you like metal and they want to ditch out on you. That would really suck, but you really have to look at it in a broader spectrum and realize, if this person doesn't want to be around me for something so insignificant, it's probably a good thing that person is no longer in my life. But now I think I've yammered on enough for this video, so now I'd like to get your guys' opinion on all of this. Do you think there is a positive or a negative price you have to pay to become a metalhead growing up? Do you think going into adulthood there are still those prices you have to pay? Please leave me a comment below letting me know if you agree with me, you disagree with me, telling me your stories, your anecdotes, all that kind of thing. I'd love to know what you guys have to say on this whole subject. And now, like my past videos, I either do an album recommendation or an album warning, and today is another recommendation. The band is The Great Old Ones, the album is Cosmicism. Now, I came across this album a couple weeks ago while I was doing some shopping on Amazon, and it just came up as like a "you may like this," and I checked it out and it looked pretty damn cool, so I figured, I think it was only like 15 bucks, so if I liked it, awesome. If I didn't like it, I'm only out 15 bucks, no big deal. Anyway, I got it and I looked up the band, and they're like described as Lovecraftian black metal. Now, when I first read that, it sounded really gimmicky, and I wasn't sure what to really expect. Like, is it the whole thing based on a gimmick? Is it not going to turn out the way I'm thinking in my head? But I popped it in my CD player, I listened to it, and I absolutely loved it. It goes way past more than just a gimmick. It is a very good band with some damn good music. As you can tell, it's obviously based off of the work of H.P. Lovecraft, which I'm sure plenty of you are knowledgeable in and well-versed in. So if you like black metal, if you like H.P. Lovecraft, the works of his, then I'm sure you will like this album. So once again, the band is The Great Old Ones. The album is Cosmicism. Check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video, checking out some of my past videos, and sharing them with a few of your friends while you're at it. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a P.O. box open. All of that info is down in the description. I also have a handful of my Halloween patches left for sale, so if you'd like to get your very own, you can click right over here. There's also a link down in the description. Overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay brutal.